Let me tell you about the time I planned a once-in-a-lifetime trip for my parents. I'm talking luxury, handcrafted, dream tour vacation, only to be replaced at the last second by my unemployed, TikTok-obsessed sister. And no, this isn't one of those haha gotcha surprise twist stories. It's real. It happened. And the fallout? Let's just say it was delicious. My name's Nora. I'm 30, and for the last 2 years, I've been grinding harder than a Starbucks espresso machine. Long hours, no vacations, and saving every dime. Why? Because I wanted to do something special for my parents. They'd never been to Europe, not even out of the country, and I thought, what better way to show my appreciation than planning the ultimate European tour? I booked everything: flights, luxury hotels, private city tours, dinner reservations, museum passes, river cruises, the whole 5-star fantasy. Paris, Florence, Rome. I was paying for it all. A surprise gift from the responsible daughter. So there I was, pulling up in front of their house at 5 a.m. to take them to the airport. 2 minutes late. 2 minutes was enough to get myself recast. My mom stood on the porch with her suitcase. Nothing unusual, until she appeared. My sister, Taylor, dragging her suitcase behind her. Dressed like she was heading to a yoga retreat in Ibiza, with the kind of smugness only someone with zero responsibilities can wear comfortably. I froze. What's going on? I asked, already knowing I wasn't going to like the answer. Oh, sweetheart, my mom said, in that syrupy voice she reserves for emotionally detonating my sanity. We decided Taylor should go instead. She's been so stressed lately. This trip could help her recharge. My jaw was almost dislocated from the sheer force of how hard it dropped. I paid for this. I planned it. I'm the one taking you. My voice came out flat, like my brain had left the building and left me on autopilot. Mom waved her hand, like I just brought up something trivial, like forgetting to buy milk. We know, and we're so grateful. But you work so much. You can go another time. Another time? Taylor, who hadn't held a job longer than 3 months since she graduated, just gave me a smug shrug. Thanks for understanding, sis. Seriously, this means the world to me. I looked at both of them. My mom was full of toxic optimism. My sister, radiating main character energy. And then my dad came out the door like he'd just seen the ghost of his conscience. He didn't say a word. Just handed me his suitcase and stared at the floor. I wanted to scream. I wanted to cry. But most of all, I wanted to laugh, because this was so typical. No matter how much I did, Taylor always came first. She was the emotional investment, the fragile favorite, the golden child in distressed denim. And me? I was the dependable one. The planner. The one who always smiled and said, "It's okay, I'll figure it out." Well, not this time. So, I did what any emotionally repressed eldest daughter would do. I opened the trunk. "Let's not miss your flight," I said, teeth clenched so tight they almost sparked. They smiled. They got in the car. They thought I was taking it well. Oh, but they had no idea. The drive to the airport was suffocating. Not metaphorically. I mean full-on, tension-thick, silence so heavy it could dent metal kind of suffocating. You could have cut the mood in that car with a butter knife and still not made it through. My hands were glued to the steering wheel in a death grip, knuckles turning white with every mile. Behind me? My sister Taylor, casually scrolling through her phone, is probably watching some How to Manifest Luxury Travel TikTok. Beside me? My mom, humming like nothing was wrong, like she hadn't just ripped out my heart, set it on fire, and handed the ashes to my sister. "So," Taylor finally chirped from the back, "do you think we'll have time to shop in Paris? I have to hit up that vintage spot I saw on Insta." I didn't answer. Not because I was being dramatic, but because I physically could not form words without spitting venom. "Oh, honey, we'll find time," Mom said, turning around to look at her precious co-traveler. "We'll just skip one of the museums if we need to. Lily won't mind." I was right there. I was invisible. The chauffeur. The travel agency. The walking ATM who didn't deserve a seat at the table. Or, in this case, the airplane. Dad, who'd been silent since leaving the house, finally cleared his throat like he was about to say something profound. Thanks for driving us, Lily. I know this is unusual. Unusual? Unusual is showing up to a restaurant and finding out they gave your reservation to someone else. This was betrayal. On a chartered flight. I looked at him through the rearview mirror, deadpan. Interesting word choice. He immediately turned to look out the window like it was the most riveting thing he'd ever seen. Then, as if the universe hadn't already tested me enough, Taylor leaned forward, resting her chin between the front seats. You're not mad, right? She asked with all the self-awareness of a plastic fork. I mean, this is super mature of you. I could never afford this kind of thing on my own. Mature? That's what she called getting kicked off my trip. Oh, of course, I said with a smile that could shatter glass. You deserve it. You've had a rough time not working lately. Taylor missed the sarcasm by several light years. Exactly. Thank you, sis. You always get it. I nearly bit my tongue clean off just to keep from screaming. By the time we reached the drop-off zone, Maya was twitching like a cartoon character post-explosion. I got out, popped the trunk, and started unloading the luggage like I was tossing bags of concrete. Mom came over and gave me this self-satisfied little hug. Thank you for being so understanding, sweetheart. This means a lot to us, and to Taylor. Sure. It's not like I spent 2 years planning this trip or anything. Not like I stayed up nights booking tours and coordinating dates between 3 adult schedules that can barely manage a family dinner without someone flaking. Nope. I'm just the thankless workhorse here to hand off the vacation I built from scratch. I nodded. Sure, Mom. Taylor wheeled her suitcase away like she was heading to Paris Fashion Week. You're the best. Love ya. I stood on the curb, watching them disappear into the terminal, each step echoing like a slap to the face. My chest was tight, my teeth hurt from clenching, and my inner monologue had officially turned into a 24/7 roast session. But the best part? I hadn't said a word. Not really. Not yet. Because I had a plan. Oh, they thought they were about to embark on a fabulous, all-expenses-paid European escape. Little did they know that plane was flying them straight into budget hotel purgatory. As I pulled away from the airport, one thought looped in my brain. You wanted to take her instead of me? Fine. But let's see how you do it without me. The second I got home, I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I didn't even sit down. I marched straight to my laptop, cracked my knuckles, and opened every single travel site I'd used to book this so-called family trip. The one I'd spent 2 years planning, the trip of a lifetime that I wasn't even allowed to attend. And then? Click. Cancel. Refund requested. One by one, I started dismantling their dream vacation like a woman possessed. The 5-star hotel in Paris with the Eiffel Tower view? Gone. The private wine-tasting tour in Tuscany? Cancelled, baby. Hope they enjoyed boxed wine and awkward silence. The high-speed train tickets? The refund was sent back to my card. And the grand finale, the guided tour of the Vatican with a personal historian? Reversed. They can now enjoy standing in line for 3 hours behind a sweaty tourist group led by a guy with a megaphone. Every click felt like therapy. Like reclaiming my time, my energy, my money, and my dignity. Did they want Taylor to go instead? Fine. But they weren't going to ride my generosity like a parade float. By the time I got the final confirmation email, I could breathe again. It was like I'd been holding my breath for 2 years, through the planning, the saving, the justifying. And now? Now I was free. And then, their flight landed. My phone lit up like a Christmas tree set on fire. Buzz after buzz after buzz. Mom. Lily, what's going on? The hotel doesn't have our reservation. Mom again. This isn't funny. Fix it. Now. Taylor. Are you serious right now? This is so petty. We're stuck. Call the hotel and fix it. I stared at my phone, sipping tea like a Bond villain. The messages kept rolling in, each one more desperate than the last. I didn't respond. Why would I? I was busy. Busy relishing every second of poetic justice. Eventually, I gave in to the urge and answered, just to hear the chaos. Lily! My mom snapped the second I picked up. The hotel says there's no record of our booking. The tours aren't even scheduled anymore. I let her rant. Let her dig her own grave with every entitled word. And then I dropped the bomb. I cancelled them. Silence. Thick, stunned silence. You what? She finally hissed. I cancelled the trip, I said calmly. You wanted Taylor to come instead of me? Cool. But you don't get to enjoy the trip I planned if I'm not part of it. There was a beat of stunned nothing before the shrieking returned. How could you do this to us? Oh, I don't know, I said, leaning into the sarcasm. Maybe because you stood on your front porch and told me, with a straight face, that my spot was being given away. Maybe because you treated me like your personal travel agent, then tossed me aside the second it was convenient. We thought you'd understand. She barked. Understand? You replaced me. You disrespected me. And then you expected me to smile through it and hand over my credit card like a good little daughter? Nah. I calmly told her she was lucky I even drove them to the airport, and then ended the call. Click. Power move. My phone stayed off the rest of the night. And for the first time in a long time, I actually slept. Deep, uninterrupted, guilt-free sleep. The kind you get after deleting a whole family's vacation with the same energy you'd use to uninstall an annoying app. Let's see how well Taylor handles international travel when there's no one left to clean up the mess. It took less than 24 hours for the chaos to really bloom. I hadn't even unpacked my weekend laundry when the guilt campaign went full throttle. At first, I ignored it. Let them spiral. Let them marinate in the stunning realization that just because they took Taylor instead of me, that didn't mean they got to take everything I planned. But by the next morning, curiosity got the better of me. I flipped my phone back on. And there it was, a buffet of desperation. Mom. Lily, you've gone too far. Taylor is in tears. Your father is furious. We can't get into any of the hotels. Taylor. This is seriously psychotic. Just fix it. I'm not even joking. Dad. We need to talk. This isn't right. Oh no, Dad. What's not right is ghosting your own daughter emotionally for years and then being shocked when she finally ghosts you logistically. Still, a part of me wanted closure. So, like any emotionally exhausted, tea-sipping chaos conductor, I picked up the phone when they called again. My mom didn't even let me say hello. Lily, this isn't funny anymore. We're stranded in the middle of Paris. The hotel says we don't have a booking. Do you have any idea how humiliating this is? I leaned back in my chair and took a slow, blissful sip of my coffee. Humiliating? I repeated, cool as a cucumber in winter. Try planning a dream trip for the people you love and then being told you're not invited. You're being dramatic. She spat. Taylor needed this. And now she can figure it out herself. I cut in. You all made your decision. You chose her over me. So now you get to see what that looks like without me holding it together. And then came the piece de resistance, Taylor in the background yelling. Mom, hang up on her. She's being impossible. Oh, sweetie. Impossible was making an international trip happen around your chaotic life for their benefit. And I did that. Until you stole it. Enjoy your trip, I said deadpan. Oh wait, you can't. Because it was my trip. Click. This time, I turned my phone off and left it off. The silence after that call? Bliss. I cleaned my apartment, blasted music, and made cinnamon rolls, and for the first time in years, I didn't feel like I owed anyone anything. No emotional labor. No justifying my feelings. No begging to be heard. But of course, the silence didn't last. By day 3 of their disaster vacation, my phone exploded again. Voicemails. Long, messy, panicked voicemails. One after the other. Mom. We've had to stay in motels, Lily. I hope you're happy. You've humiliated your family. Taylor. You're ruining everything. Grow up and fix it already. Dad. I still don't understand what's happened to you. Call us back. And then, the last message. A long one. My mom's voice was quiet, worn down. We're at the airport. The trip is ruined. I hope you're proud of yourself. Taylor's devastated. Your father and we're disappointed doesn't even begin to cover it. Call us when you're ready to talk. I didn't call back. Because here's what they didn't get. This wasn't just about the trip. It was about a lifetime of being the afterthought. The one expected to organize, to smooth over, to be understanding, selfless, replaceable. Not anymore. The next knock on my door wasn't them, it was my best friend, Mia. Coffee in one hand, gossip-ready smirk on her face. "I heard what happened," she said, flopping onto my couch. "Your mom called me yesterday." Of course, she did. My mom's always been good at weaponizing the phone tree. "And?" I asked, already bracing. Mia grinned. "I told her you'd get back to her when you were damn well ready." God, I love that woman. "You finally did it," she said, serious now. "You stood up for yourself. Don't let them drag you back down." And for once, I didn't plan to. After the final voicemail, the one where my mother tried to wrap disappointment and manipulation in a sad little bow, I didn't cry. I didn't rage. I didn't spiral. I unplugged. I left my phone off. 4 days. It was glorious. I woke up without anxiety. I made pancakes for one. I drank coffee while it was still hot. No passive-aggressive texts. No. "Can you just?" requests. No emotional blackmail with a side of emoji guilt. For the first time in years, the quiet felt safe. That's when I realized I hadn't just canceled a vacation. I'd canceled the contract I'd silently signed with my family. The one where I was expected to be the dependable one, the planner, the fixer, the one who always sacrifices so everyone else could float through life. And now? I wasn't renewing that contract. I spent the next few days doing something radical. I focused on myself. I cleaned. Not out of stress, but because it felt good. I journaled. I pulled out the Italy spreadsheet I'd made for our trip, flights, hotels, itineraries, and instead of deleting it, I repurposed it. Because guess what? I was still going. Not with them. Not as their backup. Not as the planner who'd tag along just to hold the family together. I rebooked a solo trip. Just me. A week later, I landed in Rome with nothing but my carry-on, a guidebook, and a level of peace I didn't know existed outside therapy. And it was perfect. No one complained about walking too much. No one asked to skip a museum because they were too tired. No one tried to hijack dinner plans or talk over every single tour guide. I had wine under the stars in Florence. I got lost on cobblestone side streets in Venice and didn't care. I ate carbonara on a random patio in Trastevere and didn't share a bite. I journaled while sitting on the Spanish steps like I was starring in my own indie film. For the first time in forever, I didn't have to be anyone's emotional meal. And slowly, the fog that had settled over me after years of being second place started to lift. I wrote my goals in that journal. Not goals tied to anyone else's needs or validation. My goals. Learn a new language. Start a small business. Travel to 5 more countries solo. Say no, without guilt. Each page felt like carving out a space in the world that was mine, no strings attached. I realized something huge on that trip. For years, I had shaped my life around being the good one, the responsible daughter, the easy one, the planner, the helper, the fixer. But none of those labels were mine. They were roles cast onto me so others could stay comfortable. Not anymore. By the time I landed back home, I felt something wild. Something I hadn't felt in a long, long time. Freedom. Freedom from trying to earn love by doing everything right. Freedom from being quiet so others could be loud. Freedom from being selfless, to the point of disappearing. The trip they stole? I took it back, in every way that mattered. And I didn't just enjoy it. I thrived in it. You know that calm you feel after a good cry, a solo trip, and a life reset? Yeah, that lasted maybe a week. Because just as I was finally rediscovering what peace felt like, entering my quiet girl era, journaling in sunbeams, contemplating pottery classes, they came back. I mean my family, of course. With texts. With voicemails. With carefully worded apologies that had the emotional sincerity of a customer service script. Mom, hope you had a wonderful trip. We should talk soon. Dad, we just want to understand what went wrong. Taylor, radio silence. Probably still crying over losing her free spa day in Tuscany. At first, I ignored them. Not out of spite, but because I finally understood something. I didn't owe them my time, my explanation, or my forgiveness. Not until they earned it. And then, one sunny Saturday afternoon, my phone rang again. I recognized the number. I didn't mean to answer, but I did. Hi, Nora, my mom said, her voice unusually soft. How was your trip? It was incredible, I said flatly. Life-changing, actually. That's good to hear, she replied, then paused, like she was waiting for the part where I forgave everything and came running back like a Hallmark character. We've been thinking a lot about what happened, she continued. Maybe we didn't handle things as well as we should have. Maybe. That word again. The family classic. The universal substitute for accountability. I didn't say anything, so she kept going. Your father and I, we didn't realize how hurt you were. It was never about choosing Taylor over you. Then what was it about? I asked, my tone sharp but steady. Because that's what it felt like. That's what it always feels like. She sighed. She's been going through so much. We thought the trip might help her reset. And you thought cutting me out of the trip I spent 2 years planning and paying for would, what? Make her feel better? No answer. I pressed on. It wasn't just a vacation, Mom. It's every holiday, every birthday, every family event where I'm expected to take the back seat so Taylor can get the spotlight, or the sympathy, or the pass. That's not fair, she said, but even she didn't sound convinced. No, what's not fair is that I've spent my whole life trying to earn your approval, and the one time I do something big, something selfless and meaningful, you hand it off to the sister who never lifts a finger. I heard her sniff. Whether it was from guilt or frustration, I couldn't tell. We're not perfect, she admitted. But we don't want to lose you. That landed. Because as much as I wanted to stay angry, and I could have, that sentence tugged at the thread of something deeper. Not forgiveness. But history. Shared memories. The faint echo of a time when things hadn't been so fractured. I'm not trying to punish anyone, I said. But I'm also not going to keep sacrificing myself just to be tolerated. There was a pause. A long one. I understand, she said quietly. We'll try to do better. I nodded, even though she couldn't see it. I'm not rushing anything, I told her. And it's going to take more than just words. We'll give you space, she promised. But I hope you'll let us back in, when you're ready. We ended the call there. Not with hugs and kisses. Not with apologies wrapped in excuses. Just space. And for the first time in my life, I felt okay with that. Because this time, it was on my terms. Some stories end with a tearful hug and a dramatic group photo in front of the Eiffel Tower. Mine ends with me sipping coffee on my parents' porch, waiting to deliver the most polite, no thanks, of my life. They'd just gotten back from their budget Euro disaster tour, an improv performance piece starring a cancelled itinerary, awkward motels, and meals that probably came with food poisoning disclaimers. I didn't have to wait long. Their cab rolled into the driveway like it had personally endured the emotional weight of their trip. My dad stepped out first, suitcase in hand, wearing the hollow-eyed look of a man who deeply regretted his choices. My mom followed, still dressed like she was trying to convince everyone the vacation wasn't that bad. Taylor trailed behind them with sunglasses on and a frown that could curdle milk. They saw me, and instantly, the passive aggression kicked in like muscle memory. Well, my mom said, dropping her suitcase a little too hard on the pavement. I hope you're happy. I took a sip from my mug. I'm calm, if that counts. Taylor crossed her arms. The whole trip was a disaster. The hotels were disgusting. The tours were all booked. And do you know how embarrassing it was to show up and be told there's no reservation? Oh no, I said, fully deadpan. You mean the free luxury trip you stole from me didn't go smoothly? My mom jumped in, her voice rising. That's not the point, Nora. You sabotaged us. No, I revoked access, I said, standing now. I planned that trip for us. I spent years saving and organizing everything down to the hour. You chose to cut me out. So I chose not to fund your betrayal. Dad tried to step in with his signature weak defense. You didn't have to cancel everything. That was extreme. Was it? I snapped, locking eyes with him. Because choosing Taylor over me, again, and pretending I'd be fine with it, that felt pretty extreme. Taylor rolled her eyes. God, you're so dramatic. It's just a vacation. I almost laughed. For you, maybe. But for me? It was the last straw in a lifetime of being pushed aside so you could get another handout. And then I said it. The thing I'd been holding in for years. I'm not your fixer anymore. They blinked. My mom opened her mouth like she wanted to argue. I held up a hand. No, seriously. I'm done. I'm done bending over backwards so you can pretend I'm not hurting. I'm done pretending that Taylor's needs always matter more than mine. I'm not angry. I'm just over it. I picked up my bag and walked toward my car, hearing the confused shuffle of them not knowing what to say. Then I stopped. I'm glad you're home safe, I said. But don't expect things to go back to how they were. I'm not the same person who planned that trip. I'm not the version of me that lets things slide just to keep the peace. And I left. No dramatic slamming doors. No tears. Just peace. The drive home felt light. Like finally shedding a coat I didn't realize I'd been forced to wear since childhood. Later that evening, my phone buzzed. It was a text from my dad. I'm sorry. That was it. No excuses. No qualifiers. Just 2 words that landed softer than I expected. The next day, my best friend Mia came over. How'd it go? She asked, flopping onto my couch. I just smiled. They're rattled. And Taylor's fuming. But I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I just walked away. Mia grinned. Look at you. Boundaries and everything. Who even am I? I joked. You're the version of you who finally picked herself. And she was right. I'd spent years making myself smaller to keep others comfortable. But now, I was reclaiming space. My time. My voice. My future. I wasn't the responsible one anymore. I was the whole damn main character.